Alright fellas, exciting day. Today we're gonna get the tank wet with some hose water. Originally I had the pipe straight in there, but there's a brass feeding right here that was like smacking against the glass. It got me nervous. So I ran upstairs, grabbed this and grabbed my camera. The idea is to put the hose in there so that the brass fitting won't come in contact with the glass, hopefully. So I guess the trick now is to make sure the hose doesn't pop out while filling. This will be tricky. All right, I think we sort of got it. There's a kink right there, but hopefully that'll work itself out as the water goes in. Man, I wish somebody can turn on the water for me outside, but of course Emily's sleeping, so let me just try to do it myself. Go ahead and fill this guy right here. Make sure it doesn't pop out. There's a little kink right there, but hopefully that will work itself out. It's gonna take forever. What the? We got some kinks. All right, water's coming in fast. This actually makes me a little nervous if there's anything wrong. Now is the time. Okay, this is kind of nerve-wracking actually. This is the first time we're filling this tank. All the silicone looks really good right now, but after the whole 45-gallon fiasco, you know, I'm kind of nervous about it. This is also the first time we're kind of like stress testing the stand with actual weight of the tank. And we're doing a test fill with hose water right now. We're gonna totally take all these out. After we're done, we just want to make sure the tank holds water and all the plumbing works. So I'm probably gonna stop it right around here and wait for Emily or someone to be able to help like control the water, the hose water outside, just in case something goes wrong, somebody can shut it off really quickly. All right guys, so I have filled it all the way up to the cutout. Once I go beyond this point, if something happens, I will need help to shut the water off. So we're gonna pause it right here and to be continued in a few days.
1 week later.
All right guys, the tank has been full of water for about a week. Seems good to go. Stand is stable. Emily is cold. Oh, don't do that. Now we're gonna do the most crucial part, which is filling the water past the drilled holes, right? To make sure all the bulkhead is tight. I'm slightly concerned about that one because I didn't really pay too much attention to this, but hopefully it'll be okay.
If I crack your tank, then you're done, right?
Yeah, it's perfect time to upgrade to 300 gallon. First gonna come quick.
What did it just say? Oh shit, it's coming!
This side looks good actually. It looks dry. So this bulkhead is holding. Emily, nice pimple right there. Okay. Wait, why is this kind of moist right here on the ground? Oh, because you were splashing it. Okay, well, okay. So this side passed. All right, this side passed. It's going in. Let me check the pipe. Water's coming in here. It's going through the pipes. Right here. It's going through the pipe. It's going down to the sump. Oh,
It's
shit.
not excited at all.
It's going down to sump. It's filling. I gotta turn the water off pretty soon, actually. So I probably gotta give you back the camera. Going to the side.
Look at them.
Yes.
So annoying.
Excellent. All right. I'm trying to decide when to turn things off. No leak here, right?
No.
That's good. Just condensation. It's filling up. Looks
It's
good
not
so
you.
far.
Kind of, I can't see.
Oh shit.
I'm holding that. I'm holding everything.
Okay. All right. So this is good. It's filling up here. I'm getting nervous. So we want to fill maybe like halfway in the return pump chamber, and then we should be good. Some is actually pretty big, taking a while to fill. Everything up here looks good. Bulkhead here is holding. Let me double check over here. Pipes here is good. You see the water level is up to here. Here's the emergency pipe all the way up here, which should be all right. This is pretty much completely full. All the pipe feels dry to the touch at least. Shit, I'm talking too much.
Go.
Okay, no,
go,
the back halfway through.
Go the back. I
Come,
can
go,
see
go,
the
come,
back.
go. Shit. Let me see. 佢我睇下計下數先. It's coming over. Yeah, I gotta go. All right, let's go. Shit, I'm kind of slow. Get ready to pour it into the bucket.
Chewing like a boss.
Okay, all right, we should be good. Let's pull this out.
Pull it up. You better be quick. I wanna go pooping.
Alright guys, In terms of like static water, everything looks good. Now the real test, we're gonna put the piping under pressure. We got the Coral box pump in there. It drives like 3,200 gallon per hour. If we go max, we're about to plug it in. Oh. That is a lot of power. I'm gonna turn it down a little bit. And this thing push a lot of.
Okay, sorry, man. I have to poop.
Okay. She gone. Thing is loud. It's water rushing in. Let's see. So I can mess with the flow rate of the pump. Let's mess with this flow rate a little bit. We'll go down. It gets loud, and the water level gets dangerously low. I think to go try to find the perfect balance. Probably the lowest. Let's go for the lowest first, and then we'll tweak. This is at the lowest setting. I think it's more reasonable. Okay, we're at 1 dot. I think any more, then we're just gonna. The speed of water coming in is not fast enough. This chamber is gonna go dry. Let's see. Well, you know what? I don't think I opened up the gate valve. I was messing with it. I don't know which way it's open actually. I think that's a problem because like I was messing with the gate valve, but I'm not sure which. I assume to the right is like completely closed and to the left is completely open, but honestly I don't know. I gotta mess with it a little bit.
2 hours later.
All right, guys. There I say things look good. The only thing I notice, if I go any more than the first level, for example, if I take a little bit more power, you notice the water in the pump chamber go down rapidly. I mean, granted, I can add a little bit more water, but when I, here, let me show you guys. When I turn off the pump, as it is right now, the water level sits about here. And I think that's where I'm comfortable with. Like later on when I'm a little bit more confident in the system and figure it out a little bit more, maybe I'll push the water level up a little bit more and then drive the pump a little bit harder. And in terms of a siphon break, basically I just have the output outside of the water. I want to maybe get a check valve along the way in the lock line as well, but unfortunately the type of lock line that we use, I'm using like 3/4, I think 3/4. They only have the check valves for 1/2 inch. Power off, that's where the water level sits. What do you guys think? Do you think I can add some more water and push the pump a little bit more? It's front portioning and try like a small in-some-refugium. I mean, it is pretty small, so I'm not sure if it's effective at all. Maybe just like a nice spot for copepod to reproduce. But we'll just, since we have that chamber, we'll just put it to use. Or maybe I'll just lower that baffles and make both of these kind of like the water reservoir for the return pump, so I can drive the pump a little bit harder. Honestly, everything else seems okay. Not noisy. Everything's dry. I believe I have the gate valve all the way open, but I should have played with it a little bit more before putting it on, because right now I'm not sure which one is open and closed. But I'm just guessing if it's closed, then water level is going to rise here, which is not the case, so I assume that to the left it's wide open.
1 week later.
Alright guys, welcome back. As you can see here, we got a airline with some water dripping out. And this is actually really important because what we're doing here right now today is actually draining out the 150 gallon tank. The reason I'm doing that is because right now just straight up tap water to, basically tap water is there to make sure there's no leak, everything looks good, and everything does look good. So now we're draining tap water out and gonna put in RODI water. But unfortunately, the only hose I got long enough, well I tried different ones, is the airline. So this may take a while. And I'm using the flipper magnet to hold it. This way I can kind of scoot it down as needed. As the water goes out. Alright, for you guys who are curious about how long the air hose draining actually takes, this is about 4 hours of work. 4 hours, the hose just been running. I guess maybe by tonight I'll have it halfway drained. This is way slower than I was expecting. So I posted it on Instagram. People were like cracking up. They thought I'm like clickbaiting them, but no, I thought this was it. So one big question people ask is like, why don't you use the garden hose? Well, the problem is like, I didn't know how to start a siphon on a hose, and I don't exactly want to start sucking on the other end of a garden hose because this thing's nasty. Look at that. So somebody left a comment saying, oh, you don't have to suck on it, just fill it up. Like turn it on, turn the hose on, and then unhook it, and you have siphon. Physics, stay in school, guys. Don't be like me. Thank you, guys. That's one reason why I like social media. And people have been really kind. I mean, people make fun of me, but it's all in jest. Nobody's really mean-spirited about it. Maybe one person. I'm looking at you. Anyways, let's get started. All right, guys. Another reason I didn't want to work with the hose because like it's so unwieldy for just one person. Anyways, I was able to clip it in, and then it's at the back corner. I'm about to turn it on. Figure out film in case it pop off is gonna make for some solid laughs. But here, so I'm supposed to fill the hose a little bit with water, so we get a little siphon. Okay, water's coming through, so I think we're good. So I think the next thing I do is just kind of stop this and unplug it. And here we go. Just gonna. And people are saying that don't do this near the foundation of the house. Oh, wow. Okay, water's coming through. Science, damn. All right, my friends on Instagram. I appreciate your help. Otherwise, this sliding door will have a crack open for maybe like the rest of the day. So for the host comments, thank you guys for your help. I appreciate it. Otherwise, we'll be here all day. But I guess this should be much faster now with the host going. Guys, perfect. Just got home. Was out the whole day, and as you can see, pretty much all the water is out. We got a little left, but that's okay. We're just gonna leave it. The next bit, I'm probably gonna do it another day, is to use the wet dry vac to kind of vacuum out all the water from the sump, and then we're good to go.
3 days later.
All right, guys, I'm like in over my head. You see my LDI unit kind of in pieces right now. That is because I was filling this tank, but it's taking way too long, and I feel like it's wasting a lot of water. That was from, I think, about 7 to 8 hours. It's getting a little ridiculous. So I looked into it, and a lot of people suggested a booster pump. So I bought a aquatic life booster pump, and just now I'm trying to hook this thing up. I didn't know it was this involved. I thought I just plug everything in here, and we're good to go, like inline. But apparently I gotta take apart the entire RDI unit and kind of like thread the hose through to the booster pump at a lot of different steps. So I'm enjoying the YouTube video from Aquatic Life right now. I'm really glad that they made a YouTube video, but I wish they did a version with the really popular BLS 4 parts RDI system. So now I'm kind of guessing, I'm like, okay, I think this is the same thing as what's in Aquatic Lives. So far it seems okay. Taking a break, so I figure I'll just grab a camera, kind of document what's going on. I don't want to do a how-to because obviously I'm still trying to figure it out, and this is probably something that I'll just do it once, hopefully. So the reason the water production may be slow is because the PSI, the water pressure in the house is decent. It's 50 PSI. Supposedly with the booster pump, I can boost all the way up to like maybe 90. That's when it's more efficient. When I posted this product on Instagram, quite a few people chimed in saying that they love theirs, so this gives me high hope. Except I was not prepared for this amount of like DIY kind of stuff.
1 eternity later.
So I think we're just about done. I'm kind of tightening things up, and then we'll turn it on and see if there's any leak. Hopefully not, because we're on carpet. I hear a pump going. Let's see the pressure. Holy smokes! Yep, pressure all the way up to what? Looks like 90. I do hear the pump going, not as loud as I thought it would be, and looks like no leak. That's my main worry. So hooking up the whole booster pump, it took maybe 45 minutes, I'll say. Don't let people tell you it takes like 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Nope. It takes a while. It takes a little bit, especially I want to be really careful. All the connection, I'd like make sure I jam it all the way in and in again, and then pull it back out a little bit. I do not have that little clip for all the connectors, but it seems okay. I mean, it's been running for so many years. Oh, I hear water. Oh, shh. Dude, this seems faster, I think. I probably should have done a video before I hook up the pump, huh? I think it's gonna help with the wastewater ratio as well, because my pump was not under the proper pressure, so it's not the most efficient. All right, I'm gonna kind of lock it down and we're just gonna let it run. Woo. Okay, this went relatively smoothly. better than I expected. Lots of thanks to Aquatic Life's really nice walkthrough tutorial. Even though it's not the same ODI unit, but I feel like for the most part it translates really well. Thank you. Let's get some water in this tank.
2 days later.
Alright, Reefers, with water in the tank, now we can talk about sand. So before last year, I have been a huge fan of KFC's Fiji Pink. I pretty much exclusively use that sand in all my tank until the Jar Reef. In the Jar Reef, I heard about this sand from Tropic Eden called the Mini Flakes. So they actually got a couple different kind of sands, but the most popular two are the Reef Flakes and the Mini Flakes. So the Reef Flake is a little bit larger, it's about 3.5 millimeter, and a lot of people with SPS tank likes it because they're larger grain, a little bit heavier, but it's still pure white. And the reason SPS tank likes it is because usually SPS tank has really high flow, and these being larger grained, they stay at the bottom, they don't get blown around. One step down to about 2 millimeter size, we got the Mini Flakes that I am more familiar with. And I think the Mini Flake is almost similar size to the KFC Fiji Pink, and the Mini Flake is pure white with some pink mixed in. It's just a really, really beautiful sand. Now the only problem with this Tropic Eden sand is that it seems like only Premium Aquatic sells them. So they are always out of stock. As luck would have it, when I reached out to them, they were getting ready to restock the same day. So I was able to place an order and have them ship the sand out to me the very next day. So a special shout out to Brandon from Premium Aquatics to help me secure the sand. So sent me this shirt and a couple nice swags from Premium Aquatics. Much appreciated. Now with that said, Tropic Eden does have two types of sand. We got the 30-pound dry sand and also 20-pound live sand. Dry sand is the ones that's usually always out of stock. My plan was that if the dry sand do not come back in stock, I was just gonna suck it up and just buy the live sand, which is gonna be a lot more expensive. But thankfully, dry sand came back into stock. We got them in the back. Let's go ahead and put them in the tank. Shall we?
Shall we?
Shall we?
Shall we?
Shall we?
Shall we?
We shall. One popular method of using the Tropic Eden sand is actually mixing the two, because sometimes people feel that, oh, the Reef Flakes may be a little bit too coarse, maybe a little bit too big, not the perfect scale, so they would buy some Mini Flakes and kind of mix them together to get best of both worlds. And that's what I'm doing here. I got 2 bags of the Reef Flakes and 2 bags of the Mini Flakes. The plan is to mix them together and then dump them into the tank. And here's a little bit closer look, because I was struggling with this too in terms of the grain size. So again, I think that the Mini Flake is roughly the same size as the KFC Fiji Pink, maybe a little slightly finer. As you can see here, it's actually 2 millimeter. I'll put maybe a scissor in there for scale or something like that. I don't know, something for scale. And here's the Reef Flakes, and as you can see, in comparison, this is definitely a lot larger. It is not quite the size of crushed coral. From what I've read online, Roz has no problem kind of diving in and sleeping in this sand as well. So if that's one of your worry, no worries. Roz seems to do fine. And here's just another comparison between the two types of substrate.
Ooh.
On the back, the direction to say rinse the sand gently with water until it's clear. But when I was using the Mini Flakes, I did a little research online, and people say that they don't really rinse the sand, they just use it because it's like so little cloudiness came from it. This time it may be a little bit different, simply because I'm also using Reef Flakes, not just the Mini Flakes.
Like your hair.
Oh, thank you. I just kind of woke up. I was like, all right, let's just get this done before I go back to bed. So in terms of rinsing sand or not, typically I don't rinse my sand. Even with like Fiji Pink, I just dump it straight in. It's kind of like people rinse their rice. I don't like to rinse the rice too much because I feel like there's some kind of mineral you kind of rinse away with the water.
You know why? Because you never cook.
Also with a new tank, I plan to run like filter stock in the beginning to trap any detritus. I feel like it should be fine. Let's just do it. I'm gonna just...
I don't feel good about this.
Alright, much lighter in the water. Oh, the water's cold. It's coming out. Ready? Oh shit.
Oh! Oh my god.
It got heavy.
Good job, Moki.
That kind of works. It just slips out of my hand. That works.
Then you break the tank.
Oh, dude. This method kind of works. Let's go with that. So this is the inappropriate Reefer's way to adding sand to aquarium.
Boom. Wait, I think you should put 3 first.
Push 3 first?
Yeah.
Why?
你多咗你點樣分出嚟？
冇啦，all in 㗎啦。That's it, all in. Yeah, when the water is more full, I need to dump my head in. Really strong suction. Oh, look at this nice white sand.
Wow.
Pay attention to how cloudy or not cloudy this sand is. Keep in mind, remember, I did not rinse this at all. And that's one thing that Tropic Eden sand is known for, like how little cloudiness it causes. That's why a lot of people say, yeah, you don't even need to rinse the sand. Oh yeah, you can see why people say tall tank sucks. I believe this is also the Reflex. Water's really cold.
Ooh, wow. The storm.
Okay, so here is the one bag of mini flakes. I'm gonna pour it over. Jeez, it's heavy. Oh, this one sucked in real good. All right, guys. So remember how I said that the water is not cloudy at all after you add sand?
Huh?
I lied. But it does clear up really fast, and you can see right here before I mix it up. You see the two layers. At the top, you see the really fine ones. Those are the mini flakes. At the bottom is a little bit more coarse. The Reflex, these are heavier stuff. Now, I only added one bag of mini flake because Emily was like, okay, maybe you don't need that much sand. Why don't you just add one bag first and then we'll see. I think that's a good idea. So we're gonna pause it here. What I'm gonna do is actually...
You know why? Because I'm smarter than you.
I'm gonna use a Gaussic one. And we'll mix them up.
Subtitle.
Shit
Stirring stick.
I'm gonna use this shit stirring stick and kind of mix it up a little bit. Of course, I can't.
he breaks the tank.
Yeah, please don't. Of course, I can't really see what I'm doing right now, so I'm just kind of like doing a really rough job. Just give it a nice little spread. At least I think. It feels pretty shallow. Most likely I'll use the other bag, but you know what? It doesn't hurt to wait. Just give it a little time. I feel like I may only have like.
Can I try?
Okay guys, so while Emily is kind of mixing the sand, let me just kind of go over the reason I'm going sand bottom versus bare bottom. Bare bottom has a really awesome look. I've done that before, but with this tank, being how tall this tank is, this is like 31 inches, is kind of a chore to reach the bottom. And I feel like with a bare bottom tank, I probably need to reach bottom for maintenance more often than the sand bottom. With a sand bottom, I'm going to rely on cleanup crew like conch, sand sifting starfish, snails, hermit crab, etc. to keep the bottom clean. So another big benefit with a sand bottom is that it can also house beneficial bacteria, which is really important because I have a pretty small sump compared to the whole tank volume. So the more space I can let bacteria grow, the better. Thus, with these reasons above, I figure let's go with sand bottom. In terms of how much sand to add, well, this tank has a trim. The trim is about this much. The glass is probably this thick, so this much is covered up by the trim. And I'm thinking that I want the sand to at least be that much, so when people look in, they see at least a little bit of sand. So we're gonna, right now, mixing it up, and then we're gonna spread it out. And ultimately, once it clears out, we'll see how much sand we actually got. You can see actually it's all kind of piled up up front, but in the back is quite empty. And then we got one more bag of mini flakes at our disposal. If needed, we'll jam it in and we'll see how it looks. All right, get to mixing. Mixing. Guys, are you tired of my ugly muck yet? Well, here, check out the tank. So we've added the sand and it's been settling for about 3 days, and as you can see, it's already starting to clear up. So for the past 3 days, it's been slowly clearing up, and today I started filling up the rest of the way. So as you can see, we have a layer of foam here, but that's okay. I got the filter sock in here. So once it stops running, I think it's gonna capture some of the foam. So we are at the final stage of filling the tank up. The water is slowly trickling down to the sump. And once it gets there, we're gonna hit the switch and the pump is gonna start running. And then I'm gonna start adding salt in the tank to make it a proper saltwater tank. You may be wondering, how come everything is kind of like backwards? Usually the proper way to do this is like, you set up a tank, you put in the rock scape first, you add the sand, and then you add the salt water. Now the reason I'm doing this is that basically I don't have all the stuff in place. I don't have all the rocks. I have some rocks, but not enough to really build out a scape, so I don't really want to start on it yet. First, I got the LDI set up with the booster pumps, water's ready to go. So I went with that first because, as you guys know, the 45 gallon was leaking. I'm worried that it's gonna fail any time, so I want to get the tank up ASAP. So I have the LDI and the booster pump, so I started making the water first, and then the sand arrived. So I was like, okay, well, let's get the sand in. And then the salt just arrived today. So even though everything is kind of backwards, it's still fine. Because once I start cycling the tank, honestly, it's all the same. The only concern is rockscape and the sand. But the thing is that the sand is so shallow, I can just push the rock all the way to the glass. It should be no problem at all. And I may do something a little bit different in terms of the rockscape as well. So the sand going down first may not be a big concern at all. Alright guys, it's the morning after and I don't know what to do. I did not sleep well last night because before I went to bed, I posted about that seam right there, bubble in the seam. And as expected, everybody on Instagram saying that you have to reseal that tank. So for people who are just joining us today, this is a used Marineland tank in really excellent condition. So from what I found online, it seems that bubble in silicone on the seam is actually really common for Marineland tanks. And a lot of people actually have the tank set up with that bubble in the seam for a long time with no issue at all. And a lot of people report that even if they exchange the tank for a new one, they would get the same thing. They would still get this bubble in the silicone seam. Now, as I dig a little further, try to educate myself as much as possible in terms of glass tank building, I learned that there's two types of silicone. One is the one that kind of hold all the glass panel together, and that's the one that's getting a bubble. That's in between two glass panels. The second type is actually a layer inside the tank. That is to make sure that it is watertight and no leak comes through. So my fear is this: even though I could do what people say to reseal the seam, that would basically just reinforce the water tightness of the tank, which I don't think I have any problem at all because the silicone actually looks really nice on all these tanks. And it doesn't really address the issue of having bubble between the two glass panels. Now rewinding a little bit, in terms of structural integrity, somebody suggested using a corner brace to make sure the two pieces of the glass panel stay together, which some people think is a great idea as long as the tank is watertight and the water is going through, so it's add to the structural integrity. In some way, I do already have that because this is a rim tank. We got a rim at the top and a rim at the bottom. So in that part, I feel like I may already be covered. I will double check with Marineland with some photos to make sure that they think it is okay as well. But for all intent and purpose, I feel like this tank may be within spec.
3 days later.
Alright guys, I slept on this situation for about 3 days now, and I've been doing a lot of research and I talked to a lot of people, including some professionals in the field. I'm trying to make up my mind, and it's incredibly hard because I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know what's going to happen in the future. But today's Saturday, I need to cap off this video and give you guys some kind of conclusion. Let me just quickly run down all the tidbits of info that I've been getting. And if you want to see a lot of these, just hop on my Instagram. I did 2 posts on this, and there's a lot of comments to kind of filter through. There are a few people chiming in saying that this is okay, this is normal for a large tank. Some people with Marineland tanks specifically coming and saying that, oh yeah, this happened in my tank as well. And there's a huge amount of people coming and saying that they would not risk filling a tank like this when they see bubble like this in their own home. It's just not worth the risk to them. Now, a large amount of people saying that, okay, just reseal the silicone and you should be good to go. Basically, that's a go-to, resealing it. So the dilemma I have is that some people actually say that resealing it may not help because once a bubble is there, the bubble is there. And silicone does not stick to old silicone. And if I want to reseal it, I have to reseal all the internals, not just one strip. Where the silicone overlaps, it's not gonna stay, right? Meaning that I have to scrape off every single corner and the bottom and basically redo the entire tank. It's gonna be a huge undertaking. And of course, you also have to make sure you do a good job. Otherwise, if there's one little failure, that's it. So if I were to reseal it, honestly, I may as well just get a new tank. But the problem with a new tank is that, again, Marineland tank seems like it's known to have air bubbles within the silicone just like this. So there's no guarantee that if I buy the exact same new tank, I'm not gonna have similar situation. Someone reached out to me saying that if they see air bubble in the opposite corner, one on the bottom right here and then one at the top right here, if they see air bubble like this, that means the tank is twisting and the tank is settling, meaning that maybe the tank or the stand was not leveled. So there's like pressure on the glass pane. That's why you see the things being pulled apart like that. I learned a lot in this last few days though, so it's fantastic. And the consensus is that there's not much I can do in terms of fixing the issue between the glass. It's more like how to keep it from getting worse. And one of them, they mentioned that when they're doing a tank build, if they see a situation like this, the bubble is more than 50% of the entire heights, they would not use that tank. But of course right now it seems to be okay. We're within spec right here. But my question is, do we want to start off like that and hope that it does not spread? Because that's not much buffer room to go from here. And here's where a lot of people made a really good point. A lot of them pointed out that this is a really tall tank and a lot of pressures on this tank. If it's like a normal 120 where it's a little bit shorter, things may be okay. okay, but the fact that this is a 150 gallon tall tank, we may have to be a little bit more cautious. But just to bounce it back to the other side, this is actually pretty thick glass. I think it's a 1/2 inch glass. And we also have rim. We have the top rim and the bottom rim is bracing. That may work to our advantage as well. So as you can see, there's a lot of suggestions and then all the anecdotal story about tank failing and flooding the house and how to never trust a tank with bubbles in the seam again does not help. I'm just trying to digest everything and try to figure it out. One suggestion I can do right now, which I think is sound while trying to figure things out, is that I'll use a marker to mark down where the bubble is and keep an eye on it for maybe a week or two and see if the bubble grows. If the bubble grows at all, then that's it. Tank is done. Don't even bother. But if the bubble does not grow, that means that, hey, maybe a bubble is okay. The whole thing is kind of holding water. As the gentleman would put it, a lot of tanks may have bubble like this and it doesn't move at all for like 10 or 20 years. But of course, this brings back to the point of like, is it worth the risk? This is 150 gallon tank. And to be honest, if I'm just living by myself, I wouldn't care. I'll just go for it. But the fact is that I have a kid right now and it's kind of weird, right? It's different. It's different. It's like, okay, what if my kid is in front of the tank? Oh, do I have the time and resources to deal with like a big tank bust like this? If something does go down and I have to take care of the kid as well. So there's a lot to think about and I really don't know what I want to do. What would you do in this situation? I guess this is my last question for you of the year 2019. If this is your tank, number one, would you set it up as is? Number two, if not, how would you fix this? Would you seal it on the inside? Would you add a corner brace on the sides? And assuming you would not even try to patch this tank up, would you buy another tank that is the same dimension? I don't know, I got a lot to think about. I have all the equipment ready, so even if this tank is not being used, I will definitely set something up because 45 gallon is failing. So regardless, I'll have to set up a tank. But this seriously guts me, especially since I spent 1.5 years on this. So many people came in to help. This is such a journey. I don't know. Sucks. Oh, one more speculation on how the bubble may have formed. One question was that, oh, was the tank stored in the garage for a long period of time? It was not. However, it was sitting dry for 1 year in the kitchen. One speculation is that maybe, number one, the silicone was drying up because sitting in the kitchen with like some temperature fluctuation whenever the sun hits. And then maybe the ground was not perfectly level. That's why you have those stress. So I feel like that's definitely plausible for a tank to sit dry for 1 year, nothing done to silicone, no water in there, and the ground may not be leveled. It may cause some stress on the glass panes, and that may have caused the bubble in the silicone as well. So I don't know, because of that 1 year of it just sitting dry, waiting for me to set it up, that it decided to quit. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think. I think right now there's like just so many ways this could go. And chances are, like, to be honest, I think chances are it's going to be okay at least for a couple of years. But again, it's the risk factor and having this hanging over the head. For now, I'm going to mark the corners while we figure things out. Happy to hear your thoughts. This video ended in such a weird way, unexpected way. But I promise the next video is going to be awesome. So see you next Sunday at 12:30 p.m. sharp. Hopefully not to a busted tank.
I was walking with the ghost.
Did you know the pressure of a tank is actually at the top, not at the bottom? I always thought it's at the bottom. When things fail, usually at the top. Interesting, right?